Hi, it's good to be here. It's a lovely, lovely place. I did not prepare to tell this story. In fact, I'm not really sure if I've ever really told this story. So bear with me. I'm trying to make it good too, not just be on some exhibitionism. You know what I mean? Well, I hope it's timely because, not only is this Pride Month, but it is also Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. And I do believe both are actually very linked. I think a lot of men would be a lot healthier if they, all right, if they were gay, yeah, sure, why not? Or if they got over their homophobia enough that they could, tell each other that they loved them, or, feel that love from other men and be able to love other men without, any kind of catchphrases, Even though No Diddy may be the best one yet, and that is the most timeliest of homophobic phrases, but at least that has some context of, power dynamics and abuse in it. So yes, no. Anyway, this story is about my own journey, and time is very important because my own mental health journey, and I don't look it, but I'm a bit older. I'm 42 years old, and I don't know if Men's Mental Health Month was a thing when I was in my teens, or 16, 17, or when I was first diagnosed, but I am grateful that the space is becoming more welcoming for people to, there's less stigma, there's more knowledge around it. And when I was first going through my first manic episode, 2006, I had no idea what was going on. I have a lot of stories. Some that might be a little, I'm not going to tell right now. Maybe they're a little too intense, but one story that I do want to tell is from a time when I was aware of what was going on. I'd gone through a few manic episodes, been hospitalized. I was comfortable enough with my diagnosis and with myself that, I knew I was being a little bit bad by not taking my medicine. And during the mania, I actually had the conscious effort to be like, yeah, I'm gonna have a little fun with this one. So this one particular time, I'd probably done, I was running the streets, probably engaged in some sort of fantasy, trying to make the world better, delusions of grandeur. And I ended up at my place of worship. It's a Sufi community in West Philly, the Bawa Mahayadeen Fellowship. And my first manic episode ended up there. I thought it was during Ramadan, and I thought I was having some sort of like spiritual breakthrough. And it's open to interpretation, but that was my first manic episode. And this later episode, that was maybe 5 years later, I was back at the fellowship. I was back in my community with a different context. Like I knew exactly what was going on. I am not well, you know what I mean? And I had an opportunity. Some of the OGs of the community, one of the imams, and another one of my play uncles who was like in charge of like the funeral services for people. They offered me something special. They offered me an exorcism, okay? Now, yes, these men from the community diagnosed me with demonic possession. So, it's a nice little, I had my modern diagnosis, and I also had this more ancient, traditional remedy, and I had been involuntarily committed to hospitals before, so at least this was a voluntary exorcism, okay? They pitched it, and I said, look, I've never had an exorcism before. This could be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So I seized it. I was like, you know what? Hey, this could be fun. And I actually am grateful for it because one of the imams, he was like the Doctor Strange of our community. Like he'd whip up a little he could whip up a little like prayer talisman that you could wear to ward off evil. And no, I'm glad I had this experience because it was a link between, you know, these older gentlemen in my community and their teacher, who was, you know, the person who founded our community. And I know those traditions went back further and further. And I can't get into the details of the exorcism. All right, these are secrets. But there was one moment when, you know, I did certain rituals, and there was one moment when they asked me to look at a picture of my sheikh, the founder of the community. And they said, like, do you recognize him? And I was like, yeah, it's me. You know, I do. It's Gabe. I recognize him. And they were like, you know, who is that? And I was like, that's Bawa. And they were like, okay, maybe he's not that far gone. And I was like, no. And they did hit me a couple times. That's key to the, you know, they got to make sure you're still in there. I think they hit me in the head one time. But it was done with love. All right. And again, I consented to it. It was okay. So, you know, even though I didn't believe I was possessed by anything supernatural, it was a connection to my tradition that I appreciate, and you know that I'm glad I took up on the offer, because I'm not sure if they're still doing exorcisms anymore, honestly. So, yeah, I still left there. I believe I was taken right to the hospital. You know, that was it. I wasn't able to avoid hospitalization that time. Maybe the cops were called. I don't know. I do believe the cops did come. And I went willing. I didn't put up any kind of a fight. You know, I was like, you know what? I had my fun. I knew what was going to happen. I went with the officers. They took me to the hospital. And funny story, that was probably like 2012. In 2019, I actually went to Sri Lanka, to the home of my sheikh, and for like a spiritual pilgrimage. And it just happened to be the same time that like a terrorist attack had happened in Sri Lanka. There had been peace for like 18 years, and there weren't too many foreigners at that part of Sri Lanka when it went down. So I was like apprehended by the police. The police came and searched the community where we were, and like I got arrested in Sri Lanka. So I'm the only person who was apprehended by the police at my sheikh's community in Philadelphia and in Sri Lanka. You know what I mean? Again, but it was a good experience, because also a connection to that tradition. Like Sri Lanka is a real place. So the timing just worked out. Yeah. So anyway, thanks. I could be. Is this the light? Yeah. Okay. That's hey. That's my time, folks. All right.